Welcome back, everybody, to your stimulus update for today. We do have a few important pieces of stimulus news for you. The first one is relating around the continued funding of the federal government. The next is something really important that Mike Pence said about the next stimulus bill. Next week, the Senate will vote and probably pass another stimulus bill. We're going to talk about that. And also the unemployment rate. It just dropped massively. I'm going to tell you what that means. Once again, welcome back, everybody, to your stimulus update for today, Friday, September 4th. Our first piece of stimulus news is the fact that the White House, the Congress, and the Trump administration all reached an agreement to continue funding the federal government at the current rate. This means that the federal government will not shut down, which is a good thing, especially during a pandemic. But the issue here, as it relates to the stimulus, is earlier in the month, a lot of people thought that they would attach the stimulus bill to the continued funding of the federal government, which would have been a disaster because, of course, they're having unbelievable problems passing another stimulus bill, which means if they attached it to the funding of the government, they simply wouldn't do it. We would no longer fund the government. It would shut down, which actually a lot of people would think would be a good thing, and maybe sometimes it would be a good thing, but during a pandemic, not so much. However, they didn't do that. They did separate the two out, and now the federal government will be funded into the future. And when Mike Pence introduced this agreement to continue funding the federal government, he added something really important afterwards. He said this: now we can focus on another relief bill, and we are continuing to do that in good faith. We know it's still on the mind of the Trump administration and the White House, Steven Mnuchin. They all want to negotiate out another bill, and he said now that this is done, it's over with. The federal government is funded into the future. Now we can focus on another relief bill. We do know that the Senate is going to vote on and probably pass a relief bill that's between $500 to $700 billion. If you watch this channel, you already know that that bill is not going to pass through both the Senate and the House. So don't think we're going to get some skinny bill. We're not. They're just trying to prove a point. They're trying to say, hey, we can pass something a lot smaller and it can get through the Senate. So the House should do the same thing. But they're not going to do the same thing. If there's not stimulus payments in it, if there's not some funding for states and local government, if the unemployment boost is not high enough, they're not going to pass it in the House. But when Mike Pence introduced the agreement to continue funding the federal government, he added something really important afterwards. He said this: now we can focus on another relief bill, and we're continuing to do that in good faith. That's important because he's looking at this as something that's done. It's out of the way. We don't have to look at funding the federal government anymore, and our sole focus can be another relief bill. We do know that the Senate Republicans are going to be voting on and probably passing a stimulus bill in the Senate next week, ranged between $500 billion and $700 billion. If you watch this show, you know that that is the skinny bill, and it will not pass the House. It does not include more stimulus payments, and the unemployment rate is a little bit low. It also doesn't include state and local funding, so there's no way it would ever pass the House. Don't be worried about that one. If some people are talking about it like we're not going to get another stimulus payment because they're going to pass a skinny bill, it's not going to get through. When Mike Pence is talking about we're doing this in good faith, he's talking about the negotiations between Steven Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi. Those are the ones that include more stimulus payments. Those are the ones that include higher unemployment benefits. That's the good faith negotiations and the focus that's going to be happening in the next few weeks. They're still a little bit separated. Steven Mnuchin's at $1.3 billion. Nancy Pelosi's at $2.2 billion. I think there is a compromise to be had. In my mind, it's always been just pass what we can't agree on right now and let the American people vote in November. Or it's been, I think Donald Trump is willing to go up to $2 trillion, and so hopefully that'll be close enough. But even if they're able to meet at something like 1.5 to 1.7, I mean, it's time to do it, and I like Mike Pence's statement because it shows us that their focus is, in fact, there. Let's talk about the unemployment rate and how that relates around stimulus. If you've seen the reports, you know that unemployment rate has fallen massively to 8.4%. That is good news. It means people are going back to work. It's good for our economy. It's good for our families. Of course, Donald Trump was out boasting about that. It was interesting to see, though, that Chuck Schumer, when he saw Donald Trump boasting about it, said that 8.4% is nothing to boast about. I'm not too sure I agree with Chuck Schumer on that one, because you got to consider the context. In the context of normal life and average American economy, yeah, but we're during a pandemic here where we shut everything down. 8.4% is actually pretty good. Now, of course, there's a lot of individuals who realize that that doesn't include everybody. If you're partially employed or you stopped looking for a job, technically, if you want to add those individuals to the unemployment rate, it's a lot higher, and a lot of people will point to that. Like I've said, though, here, if you watch this channel, if you subscribe to this channel, they always do that. Every time an unemployment rate figure comes out, the side that says it's really good and boasts about it does that, and the side that doesn't like them says, hey, this is not the true unemployment rate. They did it to Barack Obama, they did it to George Bush, they did it to Bill Clinton, they're doing it to Donald Trump. This is nothing new. 8.4% is the unemployment rate. The bigger information to me, though, is the fact that most of the jobs that are included in that are government jobs. So that's not a really good thing. A lot of them are temporary jobs as well. So don't get hung up on the fact that it looks really good. That means nothing's going to happen. They do know at the higher levels right now, a lot of the trends and the data coming out is pointing to a very shaky situation for the future of the American economy. And if you don't introduce more stimulus very soon, it could become a problem. Because of that, we should see a compromise. We've been pointing that out. I do still think it can happen. I'm going to remain positive here. I don't know about you, but I'm going to stay positive. I think it can get done. Even in the current climate, even with our current leaders, I believe it can happen. And I like Mike Pence. You might not like Mike Pence. You might like him, whatever it is, but his statement is good. Now we can focus on finally getting another relief bill done. I agree with that. Let's get it done. Let's compromise. Hope you guys appreciated the update today. If you haven't subscribed already, consider subscribing to the channel. I'd love to have you come along with me. As always, I will catch you guys next time.